Welcome to episode 16 of the Bikini Besties podcast. I'm Lauren.
Kaylia.
Stephanie.
And today, let's talk posing. Part 1 is the topic. But before we jump into that, we're going to do a quick prep update. I don't think we have much updates today, so I think this part will be quicker than normal for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see who's wants to go.
You go.
You're in
You
prep.
haven't started
Yeah.
first.
So technically, I'm in prep. The only one in prep.
Yes.
Officially. So we are heading into, this is week 18, I believe, of prep. Oh my gosh, which sounds like so long because some people are like, oh, 20-week prep's a long prep. And I'm like, I'm 18 weeks in and we still haven't even picked a show yet. So this is going to be a long prep. But it's worth it because we're going nice, slow, steady. I'm holding muscle really well. My coach is super happy with like the way my muscle's looking. And we didn't make any plan changes again yet. But I did have one. He called it a refeed, but it was literally just a 50 grams of extra carbs for one day. And I did it kind of lame. I spread it out over my meals. I didn't do like one big meal or anything. I just thought it would make like breakfast a little better, have a little bit higher pre and post workout. That's pretty much all I did. And I was really craving a banana. And so many people gave me a hard time on Instagram because
I need to know where this meal idea came from.
Actually, I sent you a reel
Oh.
in prep of someone cooking beef and bananas.
Oh, you did?
And with cinnamon on it. And you were like, yum. And then
I was really hungry then, huh?
I think so.
Because I wrote back and I was like, what are you eating?
Yeah.
Beef, banana,
So the meal
and
was
cream of rice.
beef, banana, cream of rice, and some cinnamon. I used the feast mode. Oh, and honey. And I used the feast mode flavors cinnamon honey butter instead of just.
I'm going
regular
to try
cinnamon.
it because now I just need to know. Now
It's
I'm
good.
so curious.
And there's actually a few people.
But first of all, wait, beef and cream of rice, like banana
Yes.
cream of rice and honey, okay. But where's the beef coming in?
Yeah.
The reel I watched. And then I realized that there was a couple other actually bikini pros online who that's
Do
what they
this?
do. And like literally one other posted it like the same day, like
Trust
just as
no
like
I
one.
a
have all
regular
the
meal.
ingredients
Trust
at home.
no
I'm
one.
gonna do this tomorrow.
No one in prep. Do not trust those taste buds.
No, it's
No.
good. It's good because it's like kind of sweet and savory. It's kind of like if you think about like you can make like breakfast sausage into a sweet meal.
Yeah.
You know, or like, you
You're
know,
right.
it's like, or even like chicken and waffles is good with syrup. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and you wouldn't think like,
Oh, I want some chicken and waffle.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But it was kind of good. It was good. And like cream of rice, you can actually make savory because it's a plain
Yeah.
hot
So you
cereal.
didn't sweeten the cream of rice?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. But like if you think about like it complements
Yeah.
a
you're right.
savory flavor well, like
You're right,
the
it does.
beef.
Okay.
And
try it.
you could do it with just regular rice, but I wanted cream of rice. I've been really on a hot cereal kick.
Yeah.
The only
Um,
weird thing I do is I put like turkey in my eggs, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like to me it's kind of like adding like a sausage or something.
Yeah.
And so I put it, and then in my improvement I'll put it in like a breakfast burrito wrap. But in prep I eat it on a rice cake.
Rice cake,
Yeah. So it's kind of like that, I guess.
Okay.
I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
it. I'll report back.
I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm all
only
for weird
ranked
food
it.
ideas.
Yeah.
I only ranked it an 8 out of 10. Like it was good, but it's not going to be like, because I don't have that high of carbs
Yeah.
typically right now
Mhm.
to have banana and cream of rice and all that. So I was like,
I don't know what I would do with a 50-gram bump. I feel
Yeah.
like I would have a chocolate rice cake, probably,
yeah.
or extra rice. Yeah,
I
I
had-
don't know. Yeah, I think I would do what you did though. I don't
I
think
had
I'd have a
extra
meal. 'Cause It's not really a meal.
oatmeal.
Yeah,
I
I,
just
would
had
have
base-
extra. Yes,
Yeah,
I would have
do
extra.
what you did is probably
Yeah.
just like divide it
Yeah.
up. Or I would just add like a rice cake or two to each meal.
Or oatmeal
that
in
way-
the breakfast and at night.
yeah. Like some kind of big oatmeal
Oh,
bowl.
100%. Yeah, sold.
Yeah.
that's
My
what I would do.
pre-workout was definitely like a big oat bran bowl, and I
Yes.
added to it.
Yeah.
And then I was just craving fruit. So like that banana was like something like
I love
I don't have
bananas.
bananas right now just because it's like I didn't my carbs are lower.
Right.
Mhm.
And so like on the way home from the gym I was like I need to go get a banana. Just one
One
banana
banana.
because I only have it for this one day.
Did you buy one banana?
Yes, I went and bought one banana. Like we literally we've stopped at the grocery store and I like ran in to buy a banana.
That's so funny.
Of course, but though I can't go to the grocery store without buying like 10 other things. So
Yeah, of course.
you know, we definitely did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my one high. I called it a high carb day and not necessarily a refeed day because that's kind of what it more felt like. We didn't adjust
Yeah.
fats or protein. or change anything else cardio lifting wise or anything like that. So just a little carb bump.
Did you
But
notice anything?
not the day of. Like I was like, oh, I didn't feel full. Like
Yeah, you didn't.
yeah, it didn't like make me feel like I ate a ton more
You
at
weren't
all.
hungrier either? The next day, maybe?
Well, that would be today.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know. Today I feel like I'm really off my schedule, so I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. But I did wake up and I felt a lot harder. Like my muscles felt like they were pushing against the skin more. Like my abs were really tight, and like I felt harder this morning. So like it's like the glucose was replenished in my muscles.
Nice.
So that's kind of all like
That's
what I felt
exciting.
this morning. So I was like, yes, that's
Yeah.
good. And my weight didn't go up.
Oh,
So I was like, this is a good sign. That means the
That's a
body
great
liked the
sign.
carbs,
Yeah.
ate it up.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then last week I was thinking about like when you were talking about your update and you were talking about changing training and stuff, and I was like, my training has been rough lately, and I think it's just a long overtime having like my low calories and lots of cardio that like my training's kind of been declining in
Like your performance in the gym.
yeah, so I've had to like adjust to a little bit more really like that mind muscle connection style that you were talking about, like for like growing my glutes. So my glutes have still been sore. I've been getting good glute workouts and good pumps and stuff like that, but like I had to kind of adjust. I'm not doing 400-pound hip thrusts anymore. I'm doing like 200 something and doing 20 reps instead. And so it's like and that's just working for me. Like I'm still trying to like keep my intensity up, keep training hard, pushing, getting the most out of my workouts, but
Just
like
in a different way.
yeah, I have to like kind of figure out what's best energy wise for me so that I can like actually still perform.
Right.
And I think that's another reason we had a one high carb day, because I just was like, I need something.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see if that continues. I'm a little nervous for next weekend because we're traveling to Florida. And so I think I'm going to like change my meals to be like easy travel. So it's like probably going to be a lot of rice cakes for my
Yeah.
carbs and chicken, and just keep it really, really simple. Like oversimplified. So I might be like really hungry in between things, but we'll be busy.
Yeah.
So it's like
Might
at that
distract you.
yeah, I think on a day to day, like if I'm sitting working, that would be really hard to do.
Right.
But on to travel, I'll just be like, "Meh, let's just go."
Yeah.
So
What kind of rice cakes do you do? Are you a plain rice cake person or do you do?
Plain.
I'm white cheddar lover.
so I
I
love the white cheddar.
White cheddar.
It's just the digestion on the white cheddar that's not the best for me.
Really?
And
Really?
later in prep, like 6
Oh,
weeks
I
or
don't notice
less, I'm like, I
anything.
can't.
Yeah, I don't
I
notice
can
any
just
difference in
devour
that.
'em.
I
eat. Sorry.
I love the white cheddar.
Mm.
And then the caramel ones. I
Yeah.
love,
have
love,
my-
love, love the
I've-
caramel.
White cheddar, plain, just in case I need the plain. It's only like 7 carbs and
Yes.
nothing.
So,
And
yeah.
then
But white cheddar's
no
only
fat.
8.
But white cheddar is 1 gram of fat. So
Yes.
it's like if
Yeah.
so right now my first meal, my first breakfast is 7 rice cakes.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
4.
That's,
white-
that's half the package.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
it is
going
half.
through
Yes,
so
it's
She's
a
going
half
through
of it.
I
packages
go through
here.
so many. I love it. I'm so hungry. I mean,
I love white
I
cheddar.
can't talk about being
Yeah.
hungry, but I don't care. I'm hungry.
I can't believe you don't like the chocolate ones.
I do like
I-
them. They just have a
I
weird
like to eat it with my
taste to
breakfast.
me.
I like the savory. That's where I'm at right now. I'm not
Yeah.
in a sweet phase right now. I'm in
Yeah.
a savory phase right now.
Mhm.
And so the white cheddar, I have 4 of those, and I put guacamole over on them and
that's good.
guacamole on the 3 plain ones.
Yeah.
And then I top my egg whites on each. And
Yeah.
oh my god,
That's
it's
so
the
good.
best
You know
feel.
what's really good and underrated? If you take the caramel ones and you open the bag,
Uh-huh.
open them and let them like harden up a little bit, they're so good.
Kind of stale, like
Yes.
a
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You stale them up a little bit because they're
That's when
already
I
kinda
freak out. I
hard.
hate that when they're
I
stale.
love when they're like
Really?
I don't have any, but I used to have caramel ones and I left them open one
on
time.
purpose to.
No, I
Oh,
just
but
opened
left 'em-
left
okay.
open, and
It was
I
like happy accident.
they're so much
Better like this.
They don't
Really?
run everywhere. Like they don't just like fall apart.
Oh yeah, I know what you're
They
talking
kinda
about.
stay
The
hard a
chocolate
little
ones
bit.
did that. I had chocolate ones in my pantry for a while, and then I finally.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never
Yeah.
thought
The
about
caramel ones are really good to crumble on top of things
Mhm.
like a yogurt. It's like
Yep.
instead of like a granola, because granola typically has a lot of
that.
fat in
yeah.
it.
Huge, yeah.
So I would do
I never eat
crumbled a
granola.
crumbled.
yeah, no, it's not worth it.
Not wasting it.
The
For
calories
what?
are not
I
worth
never
it.
eat
Granola
granola.
is like you
Yeah.
have like one piece of granola. It's like a whole meal.
Love, love,
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
love, love granola. But like I can't with my macros right now.
No.
It just
I don't
doesn't
even
make
do it
I think that
sense.
was a
season.
food for kids or something.
Yeah.
Because you just can't eat
When
that as an
macros didn't
adult. It's
matter.
like insane.
Yeah. I
I
do
love
too. I love
granola.
it, but I don't want to waste 50 carbs on this much
Yes,
granola.
it's so
And
yeah,
it's insane
such
how
little.
most of them are really high fat.
It's
high
too.
fat, high carb.
You
Yeah.
might as well have a donut.
No.
It's
Yeah,
like, it's
yes, I want to go
insane.
get a
It's
donut.
insane.
Yeah, I'll always be a granola lover, but
Mhm.
I will like do the caramel rice cake all crumbled up to
Yeah.
replace it. But even though I like those flavored ones, because of the macros, like I am a volume person.
Mhm.
I will just eat plain ones
Mhm.
because I feel like, oh, I can fit 2 plain rice
Yeah.
cakes in as a meal
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead
And
of
mentally, it just
one
helps you too.
of
You're
the
like,
other ones and then have to adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's like 11 or 14. Like,
Mhm.
that's 2 rice
That's
cakes.
why I eat the white cheddar because it's only 8. It is one more carb than the
Yeah.
plain, but it's like I just I go through so many of those white cheddar ones.
They're so
I
good.
have 'em in my
They're
pantry.
so
They're
good.
the best.
They're so good.
Those are super good.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of you eating a lot, what's your
I
what's
know,
your
I know.
update?
Just, yeah, tell us all the
I'm
foods.
just eating, but I'm so hungry. I'm just it's just one of those things. You're reversing, and your hunger levels are just
Yeah.
you're just hungry. It doesn't matter how much you're eating, you're still hungry, and you can't
Mhm.
do anything about it. But I'm eating good. I have I shouldn't complain. We're just food's gone up each week since the show. Cardio's gone down. We're now at a cardio point where it sounds like it's gonna kind of just stay right there. Like that's like my baseline, and so it's good.
What are you at? 30 minutes.
30 minutes,
4
5
times?
days a
5
week.
days a week.
I'd like it to be like 20 minutes.
Mhm.
But apparently Paul, this is kind of where depending on the individual, right?
Right.
But for most people, this is kind of where he has people stay.
Mhm.
But we'll see. I'd like to get it. I don't know why. Less than 30 is just what I want in my brain.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, that's fair.
because like everyone can go in and bust out 20 minutes of cardio. Like
Yeah.
that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes even the 30 does. Some days you're like,
Yeah.
I want to do 30.
Yeah.
But it's fine. 5 days, 30 minutes. It's fine. We're eating over 2,000 calories, so we're eating very good. And meals are good. I have like a bagel in one of my meals now. I have 7
Ooh,
rice
yum.
cakes.
I saw your English muffin. And I was like,
yeah,
"Whoo."
I did. Yeah, now I just turned that meal into a bagel because I was like, I found these like cheesy onion garlic bagels, and it's like toasted cheese on the outside. Oh my god. Okay, so I had that on the way here. And I have this giant ahi bowl right now at night. Yeah, I'm eating good, but I'm hungry. So
Yeah.
it's just oh well.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I am reversing as well. 1 week behind you. I'm at 1,700 calories. So yeah, that's like
But it
I don't know.
doesn't
Everyone has
feel-
their thing, but I'm at double the cardio. Double the cardio.
Oh.
So definitely, I am not a lean girl. I'm not a lean girl. I put on muscle well, but I'm not a lean girl. So and because I think I'm jumping back into prep earlier than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just really maintaining. It's been my best reverse yet, which is
It's good.
That's
But-
a big win.
Yeah, I'm definitely eating lunch, and then like 5-10 minutes later, I'm like, so lunch.
I'm drinking so much flavored water.
Same.
my
And like
goodness.
Diet Coke. Like I'm probably having 2 a day. Like
yeah, I try to have one, and then there are the days where I have two.
Yeah.
I have to bring out my Soda Stream again. My Soda Stream, I love.
Soda Stream.
It's like
Yeah,
the
it's like
soda
the little
maker?
fizzy.
Ninja for soda.
What? This
Yeah.
is a thing?
Yeah, and it has like
Is
different
it
little
really called
flavors.
Soda Stream?
Yeah. It carbonates
Yeah,
the
it
water.
carbonates
right now?
It carbonates water. Yeah, and then you put flavors into it, and then
Yeah.
you can make your own pop.
Yeah.
Soda.
Soda. Sorry.
Call it pop.
Oh, pop is. Yeah, that's Canadian. Sorry.
Oh, it is? That's what
Dang, it sometimes comes out. It sometimes comes
kidding.
out.
I've-
Soda, eh?
I haven't heard of
But
pop in
yeah.
a while.
I should bring that.
so
I'll bring
you
it.
should-
I'll
I
bring it
wanna-
next week. I didn't know you didn't know about
I
that.
didn't know. No.
When I first started prep, it was like my holy grail.
It was
And
like
so-
our ninja.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I just always take breaks from certain things.
Yeah.
Like I just was like, oh, I always had
We're
this
over
one. Now
this
I'm
for
like,
a bit.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think they usually come up with really good. They have like a lemon lime zero. They have like a root beer zero, Coke zero. They have like different flavors. It's just expensive. Sometimes buying the little flavors is expensive. So
Oh. Okay, well, I want to still try.
no, I'll bring it. I'll bring it next week. Remind me.
Ooh, yeah.
Speaking of expensive, I've been buying the Zevias. I like
Oh yeah, you have to
those.
buy the like
Those are
the
so good.
Sparkling water.
carbonated.
carbonate.
Was there like a CO2 tank
tanks. Yeah.
Oh.
to put in the back? But they're about $50. I think if you recycle them, they give you like a discount.
Oh.
But anyway, I'm going back to that. I have to bring
Gotcha.
you my chopper thing too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, all these things.
All these
All the
things,
tools, all the
these fun
kitchen
things, right?
gadgets that make
Yeah.
prep they're like prep hacks.
Yes, yes,
Life
yes.
hacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Reversing's going well. Weight's going up a bit, like
It's
a good,
going.
like a steady pace. Which I finally feel this week. I think I was talking about last week how I still felt like I was in prep some days, like really fatigued, and just like this week I feel like that fatigue is gone. So I think we
good.
finally got what Paul was saying is we're trying to find this sweet spot of like not having me gain weight too fast, but bumping up the food in order to not feel fatigued and like add a little bit more body fat, but have enough energy coming in to where we don't feel like we're still in prep. And so finally, I think we reached that point. I think I'm at like the last macro adjustment we did and cardio adjustment we did. Now my body is like, okay, so I think we're
good.
probably gonna stay here for a bit and like
Yeah.
ride it out for like a little while. And I finally feel just like there's some good energy. We're no longer feeling fatigued. So yeah, that's good. So I'm glad that's gone.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, okay, we're reversing. Like
Yeah.
now we're truly. So yeah, we're at 4 weeks of reversing, and just gonna keep going. I think I'm probably gonna shoot for doing nationals in December. I think that's the plan. We'll see how the next few more weeks, couple
Do
months
it.
go, but I think that's the plan. So
It's in Texas, right?
yep, and I want to go visit Texas.
Yes,
so,
I was about to say.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people I know doing that. So
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna be a lot of people there.
It'd be a cool show.
It's a
Yeah.
big show. It's usually a very, very big show, I think, at the end of the year. Yeah.
And that way, depending on how that goes, pro card or not,
top
I
2 get
can-
pro cards at that show.
yeah,
Top
top
2 in every
2.
class.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, pro card or not, or if a not pro card, I can hold tight and do like those like Arnold again, and I could in March 1st, like I could do Junior USA's, like just stay tight for the early spring season. So I think that's my tentative plan. I think we were going back and forth with like, should we do North Americans or Olympia Amateur? But I just would like more time to just reverse and see
Yeah.
if we can build anything to my glute. You know what I mean? Just and
Yeah, because I think September, October for those
I have
shows
to
are
start-
going to come real fast.
Yeah, that'll come
Yeah.
too fast for me, and I don't think I mentally want to do that. So
Yeah.
I like where I'm at. Like
Yeah.
to be honest,
Yes.
don't be surprised if you hear me come like August and I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna do Arnold Amateur. We're not
Yeah.
even gonna do
Yeah.
national.
You're like, oh,
because
I just like
I
growing.
love growing.
I'm going to pull you in with me. I'm like, oh, come on. You said you would do it with me. You said you'd be in prep again.
Just send me some of your muscle building vibes, please.
Oh, my gosh.
and have them all
no,
go to
you
my
have to
butt.
give me all your leanness. But
yeah.
no,
I think
yeah.
it's kind of
yeah. We're kind of...
just lifting.
We just flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Reversing, and now Lauren's in prep.
yeah, now she's deep into
I was
prep.
like,
Yeah.
wait, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that for sure. But
Yeah. You're looking good. I saw her today a little bit.
Yes.
A little
Yeah.
posing stuff.
yeah,
Looking good.
yeah, we're shooting some content for performance posing. Shout out to performance posing, which is part of the reason that we've brought up this topic
that
for
was a
today's
good segue.
episode.
Let's go.
Yes, that's
Okay,
why
good
she's
at
the queen
podcasting.
of the of the intros.
So today we really wanted to talk about posing, and this is going to be a 2-part episode. So today we're going to kind of talk about all things posing, do's, don'ts, stage
Things we've learned.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then next episode, we're actually going to get a chance to kind of show you some of the things that we're talking about. We'll do a special episode where we film in a studio, posing studio. So stay tuned for that because it's going to be kind of cool, kind of different for you guys. Not our normal casual vibe here on the beanbags. So something to look forward to. And yeah, so let's jump into it. Where do you start with posing?
Yeah, where do you
Yeah.
start? So if you're learning posing, if you're needing to learn posing, where do you start? I would say first, ask your coach where they want you to start. That's especially if you're new. If you're like experienced in the sport, then you probably can do some of your own research of who you would like to work with on posing. But if you're like brand new, typically your coach will have some ideas. Either they can show you posing or they'll point you in the direction of who they recommend you to work with. If you have someone that that you've been following online or whatever that you want to work with them on posing, reach out to them. But I would recommend definitely finding someone that can consistently work with you on your posing. So a lot of times, like your coach is typically focused on getting your physique, you ready for the show.
Yeah.
Where I say it's really beneficial to have someone who's your designated posing coach
Yeah.
that can really watch you and work with you on just that.
Just
and that
posing
is
alone.
not focused on conditioning, your nutrition, your training. just posing.
Yeah, and having something a little bit more specialized in different areas of your prep is really beneficial to, and you get like another eye on like how you're progressing just overall, like in your confidence, because like your coach has so much to handle with you every single week, every check-in, all these things that your posing coach can kind of step back and just help you with your performance.
And it gives you another person to check in with and helps you pose more. My, I guess, other newbie tip as you're looking for that person, asking your coach and things, is you can absolutely get your shoes and just start walking around the house doing random chores in these shoes because they are comfortable.
Some of them are decent.
Yeah, just
that's
wear
why.
them. Yeah, I would get them, and the Shoe Fairy is who I recommend.
Same.
They have
Agreed.
different models. Look at the specifics of those models. For a new competitor, I typically recommend the 2.0s because they're a 4.5-inch heel, not the 5. So, and the way the foot feels is it's less like your heel is elevated, and it's like a little bit more of a flatter. It feels like a little bit more of a flatter foot.
Yeah, especially if
kind
you're
of.
new.
If you're new, yes.
Yeah.
If you're super comfortable in heels, get those 5-inch heels, and you're probably fine. You can I think they've got a return period. You can always get them, try them on, and test them out, and exchange them if needed. But go to the Shoe Fairy. That's who I recommend.
Most
I think
comfortable.
most
I've done the Amazon knockoff brands.
Same.
It's definitely more comfortable than that. Not as comfortable as your Nikes, but
No.
I mean,
Yeah, the Shoe Fairy has really kind of been a big standard for a lot of
industry standard.
competitors.
Yeah.
It's just the most commonly used brand for competitors. So it's like, it's what everybody else is trusting and using. And it's
and
like,
there's a reason why. So
yeah,
Yeah.
they're designed for competitors.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that. And then also when you're choosing a shoe, there's strapped or no straps. So there's either what they call the mule style, which has no ankle straps, or ones with ankle straps. And it's honestly personal preference on what you use.
Your team no strap, right?
Now, but when I started, I always had straps. I never ever pictured I would ever pose without them, because I was not a heel girl, and it was hard for me to walk in them. And I was like, I have to because I am not risking that. But now I really like my strapless ones. So
they're easy to practice in and slip on and off and all of that.
I kind of want to start. I want to get the ones, the double.
The
double
2-strap
mule.
ones?
Yeah, the 2-strap, like the strap that goes over the foot, not the ankle. I want to get those and feel what those feel like, and then because I would like to just to be able to slip them on and off.
Yeah.
Like I like that factor.
Yeah, I like
especially
that
for
idea, too.
practice when you're tired and you don't want to deal with those stupid ankle straps.
Yeah.
And then backstage and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
and
want
straps
to get
break.
those and start. Yeah, straps break.
For some people.
Just Steph.
Yes, I broke 2 pairs of shoes in one season. No idea, but I realized I was doing it way too tight because I was so
were you?
scared. Yeah, I was so scared of like
pulling on them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
so I'm like,
funny.
okay, let's just do this looser, and they haven't broken since.
Oh,
So
maybe
it was
that
definitely
it?
my bad. It was definitely my bad. But
User
no,
error.
yeah, I am a strapped. Yeah, I
Me
will,
too. I have an ankle
yeah.
strap one. I just feel more secure
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it. But I'm gonna get the other ones and just this.
Just try
this
it, yeah.
season,
Because
play
on show
around.
day, just bending, because you can't like sit because you're tan
Yeah.
and everything, and then
Yeah.
you have to like bend. So
Yeah.
yeah, my husband usually does my shoes.
Yeah.
So yeah, just get heels and wear them around the house as you're cooking.
Mhm.
I always tell
Dishes,
girls
cooking.
the best is like because we're usually meal prepping, and so put them on while you're meal prepping because you're in the kitchen, you're on a harder surface,
Mhm.
and then you're usually moving around between like oven, microwave, sink, dishwasher, like you're just moving around.
Yeah, and you're not
Actually,
paying attention to your walking. You're just
You're
Yeah.
just working on like
Getting
weight
accustomed.
distribution
Yeah.
in those heels, like just being able to move and control yourself
Mhm.
and your balance, and so that helps
Yeah.
once you're actually putting them on for posing practice.
Yeah.
So that's just a way to get more comfortable in them, and then I would get like a practice suit.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you can definitely just wear sports bra and shorts. Yes, but for your check-ins with your coach, you're
Yeah.
going to need some kind of practice suit. It doesn't need to be some $200-300 practice suit from a suit company. It doesn't. It could be a swimsuit, bathing suit from Amazon, from Target, from it literally could. And as long, I always say, just try to get the bottoms that are like cheeky style, so that way it replicates kind of what your actual real suit will be like.
Yeah. As close to it as possible.
Yeah. So just like a cheeky style suit bottom, and then just a regular swimsuit top.
And sometimes they go on sale. Like they have big
you
blowout
can
sales.
watch
You can get a
sales.
posing suit at that point.
Yep.
And it's worth it if you're checking in every week with your coach. Like, you're going to be using it and wearing it all the time. So it's nice to have, even if it is an off the rack suit and not like a specific branded posing suit. Like, it's nice to just have a dedicated suit ready to go, easy for your check-ins, and then you can use it in your posing practice, because sometimes it's nice to see what your physique would look like. I feel like sometimes when I'm wearing shorts or pants, like the waistband like blocks like my waist, and it's hard to tell, like, should I be like rotating more or less? And same sometimes even with sports bras. Like, I'll have like a thicker one and I'll be like, oh, my lat looks horrible today, but it's just literally the bra's pushing on it or something. So it's easier for your check-ins, for your coach to see, and then also for you when you're learning your posing to like know, like, is this the way my physique should be positioned?
You don't want to put on your actual suit and be surprised,
Right.
Yes.
Right. You don't want any surprises. So.
And you don't want to be. And if you're working with whether it's your coach or a posing coach, they need to be able to coach you the right cues and right angles of hitting your poses. And so if you're covered up all the time in, a crop top or a sports bra or a high-waisted shorts or whatever, we can't see the right things to be able to tell you, like, turn your hip this much or sit into your glute this much or whatever. And so, just get a practice suit, have that, wear it in your check-ins and wear it in your posing sessions with your posing coach.
Yeah. And one other thing that I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I don't like when people wear socks posing.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's not the way you're
You will not have socks on stage.
Yeah.
No.
So practice the way you're going to be.
Now, I do understand sometimes why people initially do, and it's because they have a hard. So first of all, if you are, for the people who are watching, I just lifted my foot, but if you're wearing tennis shoes and you have socks on, and you take your foot, you're done working out, and you're going to go pose, your feet are kind of sweaty, they're hot and sweaty, and so it's harder to get your foot into that plastic, into the heel. And so sometimes that's why people are wearing their socks, because it's easier to get their foot into the heel, or because their heels are new and the plastic piece is still kind of firm, and so it hasn't stretched and morphed to their size foot, so it's just easier to get the foot in. So I get that. So I am okay with the very beginning, if it's your first time with these heels, for like a week or two, putting your feet in to stretch out that material, the plastic. But in a week or two, they need to come off, and you just need to suffer like the rest of us and put your sweaty foot in those heels.
Just do it.
And you have to practice without socks, because you won't have that on
Always
stage,
bring
so.
slides to the gym, because
Yeah.
the people that are putting back on those tennis shoes with those socks, ooh, no. No.
I do that. I don't care.
I can't do that. I can't
I don't
do
know.
it.
I feel like some people wear socks because it's like trendy. Like, they saw a reel on Instagram and girls are wearing knee-high socks, and it's just like a look or a fad.
Oh,
It's like,
well, if they're wearing knee high, then that you're just.
Well,
it's like, don't worry about it. Like,
I haven't seen that. I've
I
had
haven't
no
seen
girls
that. I
try to
missed
do
that
that.
trend.
like this high, like calf,
Oh.
covering your calf. Like, I've seen
Like
a lot
stockings,
of like,
or like not stockings.
yeah, like not over the
That's
knee,
like
but
baseball
like,
socks,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
like, or like tall
Oh,
crew
I have
socks.
not seen that, and no one has tried to do that with me.
Yeah, I have not seen
Yeah,
that either.
I've seen it a bunch
I've just seen
online.
girls like wear their regular socks, and it's
I'm like,
easier.
no, breaking in a shoe is different. Like, you're getting something, or maybe you have a blister or something.
Yeah.
You're trying to protect your foot. Like, okay, go for it. But like, I think for me with my heels, I don't want to overstretch them either. Like, by putting thick socks in
Oh,
them,
yeah.
because like then they'll be loose when I'm trying to pose barefoot.
That's true.
You know, I want them tight to hold onto my foot.
So I think, basically when you should start learning posing is the minute you decide you want to compete. So I think that do not wait until you start prep. Don't wait until you're halfway through prep. Don't wait until you're a month out. Just if you think you're going to compete, start learning, whether you're in improvement season phase, health phase, because posing is hard and most people do not pick it up fast.
No.
And there's a lot to it. Like I always say, posing should be taught and learned in layers. And so there's your foundation, and that can take a while to get through.
Yeah.
And until you feel comfortable with your foundation, you're not ready for the finesse and the fancy fluff and the flair. You know, you really have to get so good. And some people have to focus on their foundation for like a whole season or two. Like it may take some time.
Yeah.
The basics.
I think it's a myth that most people think that pros like have it down. I know that like even though I'm in a short off season or short improvement season going into another prep, I'm still posing and sending in check-ins every single week. And trust me, Angeline still has not given me 90% on my posing or anything because she does it by percentage basis. And so I'm still fixing things. I don't know, Lauren, you could probably say the same. Like I'm still improving things, and it's been what 5-6 years of posing,
and we're always adjusting as our physiques adjust. We like tweak our posing to make it fit where we've evolved, and to keep up with the sport. And so it's always changing. You're always practicing. It's like it's part of competing is posing regularly. It's not something to put off. Plus, if you're starting out, you're going to want to send your coach check-in pictures in your poses.
right?
And so if you don't know the basic poses, how are you sending those to your coach? So it's like if you learn those base poses, at a minimum, you can send better check-ins and quality, consistent check-ins to your coach. And that's only going to lead to a better off-season, better prep, better progress, because your coach is going to get to see what you actually look like in your poses. Because that's what they're coaching you to look like on stage. They're not coaching you to like what you look straight on, just like here's my body. Like it's not just a lean contest or a diet transformation contest.
It's a shape.
Yes.
It's a performance at the end of the day, and it's also a lot about muscle memory. And so you not only have to be able to get into the pose with the right cues and the right everything like in your mind, you also have to be able to do it naturally and like you know, under stress, under lights, under like 100 people watching you. You know, so it has to be muscle memory. And so the faster you get that foundation down, the faster you can start committing that end product, right, which will take time to get to that mind muscle connection.
And if you start off doing a quality foundation of mandatory irregular poses, then you're not going to have bad habits to unlearn.
Right.
Because you might be thinking that you're doing a pose right because you saw it a certain way and your coach didn't correct you in your first check-in. So then you just continue doing that, and then you finally get a posing coach in prep and they're like, what are you doing? Your weight distribution isn't working, and you have to totally like unlearn that muscle memory that you've been doing for months.
And I promise you will revert to what is comfortable or what
you've been doing.
Yes, what you've been doing on stage, because there's been many times where I look back at my stage video and I'm like, oh, I thought I fixed that hand. And I did in my practice, but then I got stressed and freaked out and I just went right back to putting it, whatever it was.
What you were used to, I did the same thing at Junior USA as I changed my front pose. And I like the front pose changes. Like, I do think they complement my physique better. And now I'm hitting them in my check-ins, but now I've had time to drill the cues. I made those changes 2 weeks prior to my show, and it just wasn't enough time for me to mentally drill it, prepare and get it down. And so, like, even for an experienced poser, it just wasn't enough time for me. I needed more. And so I resorted back to my old way of doing my pose. And because it was just like comfortable and easy.
And you don't realize you're doing it on stage. You don't realize it.
And so, so anyways, especially if you're someone who's new or fairly new-ish, you know, I probably didn't feel like a competent, polished poser until about 2 years ago. And so I would have been competing for 5 years at that time. 5 years.
And I would say 6 for me.
Now, I never had a posing coach. So I taught myself everything by just studying and watching and testing and trying and evolving. But I looking back though, I am just now being a posing coach, and with my business, I'm like, to me, I love that about me. But also, I'm kind of like, man, where could I have been if I would have hired a posing coach? Like, so I kind of wish I would have, you know, just hired a posing coach earlier on and could have like learned all of this stuff sooner in my career. So I tell girls like, don't just hire a posing coach
Yeah.
and learn the foundation. And if you get really good at the foundation and you find yourself to be a really strong poser, then maybe go study and apply the stuff to yourself, and maybe use a
Yeah.
posing coach every once in a while to check in and stuff. But definitely get someone to be another pair of eyes on you and help you. And so I guess, what does that foundation like look like for someone who's, you know, starting to learn posing?
Front pose, back pose.
Yes.
Those two things.
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
ultimately when you're on stage, those are the two, I'm doing quotations for those of you listening, only judged poses. However, they can see you throughout your entire presentation and your transitions and everything. But technically in bikini, the only two poses that they're judging is the front and the back pose. Those are the most important. However, in bikini, we typically have about 4 main poses. Is that what you'd say?
Yeah, I call it your 2 mandatories. So like your front and your back pose. Those are the ones I teach the stage posture first, and then I teach the front and back pose. And I make sure that they can get into those and they understand what all those cues are. And then I cover what I call the transition poses. So your transition stopping points. And so typically those are going to be an S curve model pose. Some people call it an S pose, a model pose, S curve, a T pose. There's different names that different people might use, but typically it's some kind of S curve or model pose or T pose. And so that's usually the one when you're going from front to back, or you might use it to the back as well, or facing front as well. But you go front pose, S curve model pose, to then a side glute pose. So it's a stopping point as you're transitioning into your back pose. And so I teach those because I like to make sure that every stopping point of your transitions, you treat it like a pose, like you're getting your picture taken, and you know how to hit those angles. Know where to place your hands, know where to put your weight distribution, where to angle or position your feet, know where to look, know how to stand. And so if you can get into all 4 of those poses, then it sets you up for transitions.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like the way I coach it is that like I'll teach you your front and back, and then I'll go through and I'll teach you your S curve and your side glute, but then we'll run through it like a transition, so it trains your brain for when we get into actually learning transition movements.
Right.
And usually once we start actually teaching transitions, you kind of are automatically already doing a transition, because that's how I've had you practice and drill.
Right.
That's just maybe adding a little bit of arm movement in between, a facial expression, the part that makes the movement part, or like actually moving your
Connect it
feet
all
into that
together.
pose. But since you know the transition pose, you know where your feet are going to land.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think as much about your whole body placement.
Right.
It's just adding in the movement piece.
Yeah. So a key part there is that it's little by little, not kind
Layer-
of trying to do your whole routine
Yeah.
or everything all at once.
Yeah, a lot of and I get it. You know, a lot of people they'll go to a posing coach. They'll want to know, like, I need to learn my individual routine, and it's like, okay, well, do you know what your front and back pose is?
Can you hit it every single time the same way?
Yes.
Huge.
That's hard.
Yep. And I try to get like now. There's a lot of factors. You know, how far away from a show did a girl come to me? Like if she's got 4 weeks out, okay, I'm gonna have to let go a little bit.
Expedite
Yeah,
the
we're gonna have to just
process.
speed up some stuff. But that's why you should start learning posing early, so
Yeah.
you don't have to learn like that. I learn rush, because that's the worst way to learn, especially when you're depleted and at the end of a prep.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of girls, you know, they want to learn their individual routine, and they want all this flair, and they want all these fancy transitions and these arm movements and these hair flips. I don't even do a hair flip on stage. Like it's just, first of all, it's not necessary to be considered a strong athlete at all.
Absolutely.
It looks it can look very cute, and it looks really good on Instagram videos. But when you got to make sure that you can hit your poses that matter, that you're judged on perfectly, because that's gonna be really unfortunate because you wanted a hair flip so bad that you are now like 3rd, 4th place because you didn't spend enough time hitting your front and back pose. And you know, like,
I
was
would
that hair
say
flip worth it?
Yeah. No. I would say
The NPC routine that I did to when I won my pro card was the most simplified version of my posing. It was just a simple transitions, nothing flashy, but it was solid. I didn't shake. I knew my
confident in it.
pose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it like translated into confidence
Yes.
Right.
because I was solid in it and because I wasn't adding anything extra.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clean.
Yeah.
It was
The
very
more
cl-
extra things, the more the judges have to criticize.
Yes.
Really,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And honestly, when you go to a national show, it's very, very quick. There's so many athletes
Mhm.
that, like, if you think, like, as a human, if I was a judge and, you took really long on stage and kind of slow down the whole process, I don't know that I would be as tempted towards picking you because it's just, it's
Yeah.
just too much.
Yeah.
Or if
It's
they
too
didn't have
much.
time to truly see your front pose because you were busy doing a full turn or
Mhm.
Yeah.
stopping and doing something,
Yeah.
then they didn't have a chance to judge you.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
they're waiting for you to hit your front pose. And if they have to wait too long, then
Right. And
they've
then you're
already
just
moved
giving
on.
them all these things to criticize, and then finally you hit your front pose.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And now there may be a point in your competing career where you have mastered that foundation and it is time to start maybe
Performing. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
adding a little, when I say little, it's little. It is
Yes.
not, you're not doing a whole dance routine up there.
Yeah.
But like a little bit of flair, a little bit of
Mhm.
personality to
Mhm.
it to make yourself stand out because especially in bikini, a lot of what can make a girl stand out, yes, is a great physique, but how she performs it on
Mhm.
stage because
Yeah.
it's about keeping the judges' eyes on you. It's about being captivating on stage. And so if you're a really good performer and you're really good at just keeping the judges' attention,
Mhm.
you could maybe potentially place a little because you just wowed them with,
Yeah.
and at that point though, you guys all have pretty equally competitive physiques.
Yeah.
Like,
That's currently my feedback right now. So right now I've mastered the technique of hitting my front, my back pose. Every part of my transitions it's like perfect in terms of where my feet are, where my hands are and everything. And my biggest feedback from my last show 3 weeks ago or so was to just work on my performance energy and adding, like you said, that little bit of flair. And so now that's what I'm working on. This is like my third pro show? Yeah, 6th year competing. So
Mhm.
it's taken a
It takes
while. It
time.
takes some time. And so
Mhm.
just to kind of
Put
make it
some
relatable.
perspective there.
Yeah, put it in perspective.
And presentation is scored in bikini.
Yeah.
Well, it's taken into consideration when judging in bikini. And
Mhm.
so someone who's presenting, I do strongly believe that someone can outpose someone with a better physique because they posed better, stronger, more quality.
Yeah.
And someone who maybe didn't take the time to do posing, even if they're the most like on point conditioning and they've got just a little bit more muscle than you, but they like drop their glutes in every
They don't angle
pose and they don't
correctly,
they don't angle to the judge. The judge isn't able to see that
Mhm.
physique. But you displaying your full physique to its maximum potential because you spent the time to master your poses,
Mhm.
you're more likely to do well.
It's happened to me. It's happened to me. I arguably had a better physique in terms of muscular density, things like that. But at shows prior, I've haven't taken the time to master core control earlier in my career or realize that it was even that big of a deal. And so I've lost or dropped placings because of that. And so it's definitely, I will be the first one to say pose. Pose early in your career.
Yeah,
Definitely.
pose early, and that can go into like practicing, like how to practice your posing. Well, once you learn like your main poses, then I typically believe you should learn how to walk. My philosophy is that first of all, the walk comes very unnatural to most people, and it takes time. And I think too many people wait too long to learn the walk, and they need time to let that build and learn that. Also, the very first thing that you do on stage is walk.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the first time that judges see you. And if you have a choppy, bouncy, unpolished, just awkward or stiff walk, that's the judge's first reaction, their
Yeah.
first
Impression.
impression of you.
Mhm.
And so I like to teach the walk pretty immediately so you have time to get better at it. And then I like to teach walking and landing the front pose because a lot of people don't practice those two things
goodness, yeah.
and they stutter into their front pose. They
Or
don't
they
know.
start there, like you get to that wherever they've put it for their check-ins, and then they just go into it. But you don't
Yes.
realize that you can't do that on stage.
No, you got to walk into
you got to
it.
walk into
And-
it.
Yep. And so I think once you learn your poses, you should learn how to walk and how to land your front pose. Then I think once you've got that, then you're ready to learn your transitions. And I like to focus on your front to back transition first, make sure you're solid there. And then once you are, then do your back to front. I split them up. And then once you have both of them, I teach, okay, now this is your individual routine at the amateur level, at the NPC level. That's your front to back and your back to front. But then I teach tempo and timing in regards to what it looks like for your individual routine, how to walk out, do it, and how to exit. And then once you know that, you know the meat of your posing.
Yes.
But the very last thing that I think that competitors should learn is called what I call what happens on stage. And so this is where judges, I teach you all the different scenarios that judges may put you through on stage. So from the moment you walk on, they're going to have you do in comparison, switching places, angling in, walking to the back, how to exit the stage, both directions. So basically, I believe you should be prepared for whatever you may do on stage, whatever direction you're coming from, however many times transitioning, switching places left and right, all that. And then once you know that, then you've learned everything. And then from that is your foundation. And as a posing coach, that can take anywhere for a new competitor. It's anywhere from 8 to 10 posing sessions. Easily. And that's just to get you to learn the foundation. But then from there, you got to become a more polished poser. So now that you know this foundation, it's time to now go back through it all again from the beginning. And now let's polish and clean up your walk, your poses, your finesse, your your routine,
hand movements, facial expression.
Yes. Yep. And I always coach from the feet up. And so we focus on the footwork first, foot and hip work, mainly foot, weight distribution, angling, and then we choreograph arm movements, and then we choreograph facial expressions. So it's done in layers. And try to learn all that a month out.
Just
from
little bites. Little bites.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But that's what makes a polished poser on stage. When you like, a lot of girls will come to me and be like, I want to look like this. That's what it takes. That person has been. It is very rare. Some people do just pick it up like this. They're dancers, they're cheerleaders, they're whatever, and they may pick it up really fast. But that's not extremely common, and it takes a lot of time. And so the people you see online, they've been competing for years typically, and they've just put a lot of time and practice into it. And so, I mean, what would you guys say? Like, how often would you? It depends on the individual, but how often would you recommend practicing posing? A week.
A week. I think it also kind of depends on your season too. Because like for me, I sometimes like right immediately post show, I might feel a little bit burnt out, and do it a little bit more sparingly.
That's me right now.
As I was thinking about you guys. But like in your improvement season, I would say at a minimum 2 to 3 days a week, and one of those could be your check-in day. So like your check-in day and then 2 other times throughout the week.
I also think it's super helpful to pose between sets. So there's mirrors everywhere in the gym. I know it's not in your heels, so they're gonna come for me with that. I know you're not in your heels, but I just like to practice mainly my core control, especially because I'm usually out of breath after every step. And so every set. So I'm usually like focusing on my core control and focusing mostly on my posture and things like that. I'm not as crazy about my feet and where they are, but I'm just trying to hold those poses as much as I can. So that helps me with my core control. Yes, I understand you're not in your heels, so maybe it doesn't count as one session.
I think it could be good to still
it can be helpful.
Go through the motion, especially if you're learning arm movements.
And your stage posture, your arching your
There's also
core.
people at the gym.
Yes. So you have to do it in front of people. And you might feel awkward doing it in front of people.
You look up in the mirror and then you just catch
someone's
this random
watching
person's
you.
eye.
Like, oh, hey.
Right. I didn't
posing
see it
over here.
So I don't do it every single, but usually on my leg days or when I have like a little bit longer of it. I don't know. I find it helpful. But
definitely. And then as the deeper into prep, the more I would recommend just adding a day as you get closer and closer. I think you have more of a timeline kind of lined out on recommendation.
Ooh, wait, I have one more thing. But posing also different times of day, not just first thing in the morning. I, in recent preps, have been, when you're really, really tired, I kind of have like a nighttime routine where I have my tea, I have my last meal, and sometimes I'll go and pose for 10, 15 minutes before like going to bed and things like that. So trying to pose and hold that core control on a full stomach, not
that's
just
good.
always empty,
Yep.
so that
Yeah.
you get even just a little bit more practice. I think that's helpful too.
I always pack my posing shoes in my gym bag. Like they just like live in my gym bag because that way then every time I'm at the gym, like I like to try to pose post workout.
Yeah.
Some people like to do it before while they're stretching and doing flexibility and things like that. But I like to do it after when I'm tired and
Mhm.
I'm
It
done.
fatigues me. I would affect my workout if I posed
Yeah.
before I lifted.
I've
Yeah,
heard some people
yeah.
want to do it before just to
Yeah.
get it, but
make
I
me
think
tired.
I
after,
like it at
'cause
the
then
end.
it's harder. I think you just putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
little
I'm
bit more
also
fatigued.
like a weirdo of like, oh, I still have an hour of training.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
You don't
I would
Yeah.
run
run
to it
I
every
would
single
run-
time.
Yeah, I would run through that time like, oh god, then I have cardio and that. No,
I'd feel rushed with
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
posing. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
like it as kind of like I've completed everything for the day, my gym stuff for the day.
yeah,
And so I'm going to now just spend however long I need. And even if it's only like 5-10 minutes,
Yeah.
like
you usually tell yourself it's only gonna be 5 minutes, then all
And
of a
then it's
sudden it's
like
like
30,
20 minutes. You're like,
45.
let me fix that one more time. Let me do it one
Yep.
more
let
time.
me do it again. Let me do it
Yeah.
again. Yeah. But yeah, you give yourself like, okay, I'm just committing to 5 minutes after my workout. You
Right.
got the heels on, you're in front, you're in the posing room or you're the back room or the group X room or wherever it is at your gym. And then it's just like you really got your headphones in, you're listening
Yeah.
to music, and you just start getting into it. So for me, having those shoes in my bag every time makes it a lot easier to practice more regularly.
Absolutely.
Because like sometimes at home it's like I'm comfortable, like I'm not gonna go get my shoes and I'm not gonna go like set up at somewhere.
Yeah.
But like if it's in my, I go to the gym 5 days a week.
I never pose at home. Never.
I-
The only time I pose at home is for my check-ins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I have to be in a studio.
Ha-
I don't know. I can't do it at home.
That's
I
fair.
just
That's
yeah,
fair.
I don't know.
When I'm close to a show, I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
it
I
has
do
to
it
be
at
like
home.
just a couple
Not
weeks.
all of us
out.
have our own studio, okay?
Yeah, for real.
I know. So I just prefer the
Eh.
studio.
I just have to have like space like a stage. I just
Yeah.
have to. I don't
No,
know.
I would do a studio.
Like-
If I always had access, I would do that too. But no, I agree with you.
I wish
once you
there were
get
better
closer.
posing rooms
Areas and
at
rooms,
gyms
yeah.
here
Yeah.
in like the Treasure Valley where we live.
And more lights.
Yes, better lighting, stage lighting.
Yeah, for
Ah.
real.
Yeah, if
there's
any
a
gym
few-
owners are
Audition for
listening,
some stage lighting.
complaints.
Dear gym owners of the Treasure Valley.
Right, exactly.
Get some stage lighting, and we will come to your gym.
Yeah.
I will buy another membership
Yes.
for your posing
Yes.
room.
100%.
I do want to talk about something that I feel like people have different opinions on, but this is mine. Is a lot of people will girls will ask me like, when should I practice posing? I think we were talking about time of day and stuff.
Mhm.
I wholeheartedly believe practicing on like at least 2 or 3 meals in your stomach, because you will have some food in your stomach on
Mhm.
show day.
Yeah.
Now, the way I do things as an athlete, though, I barely feel like I have any food in my stomach. So, how I practice is I do practice my posing in the morning, because that is when my core is the tiniest and I have the best core control. And that is typically when, between like 9 and noon, is typically when you're going to be on stage in bikini,
Mhm.
typically. Now, there
Mhm.
are some shows, if you're doing a show and you know it's on at 3 p.m., then you should practice your posing around 5 p.m. because after a certain amount of food, just to be used to posing at that time, wall the
Mhm.
water in you and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But some people will ask, like, well, a lot of people think that, or tell them that they should practice posing after they work out because they're more fatigued. I disagree with that, because
Yeah.
I've ran into too many girls that try doing that, especially new, but you don't go on stage fatigued. You don't go on stage
Mhm.
after a workout. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like the sock thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we tell you not to practice in front of a mirror because you won't have a mirror on stage. We tell you not to wear socks in your heels because you won't have socks on stage. Well, you pump up, but you don't do a full-blown fatiguing workout
Mhm.
on show day.
Mhm.
And so when you're going on stage, you are fairly fresh. You're
Yeah.
fairly cold. Like, you're just doing your pump up. You've
Yeah.
eaten some food. And so when I find that girls focus on practicing their posing after a workout,
Mhm.
they're tired, fatigued. They're not thinking through all their cues. They're making mistakes. They're getting frustrated. They're less confident. And then they kind of like, it's half effort in their
Mhm.
posing.
Yeah,
If they
regress.
go into it separate from a workout before or just a few hours later, like sometimes we separate our cardio and our lift.
Mhm.
Separate posing and your cardio, or separate posing and your lift. It's a fresh mindset. You're not fatigued. Envision yourself on stage and just practice your posing at 100%. That's my belief.
Yeah.
I've just seen that work better with my clients and myself personally.
Yeah.
And I know when I try to practice posing after a lift, it doesn't work for
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
But
Maybe it's more
everyone
of
is
an
also
extra
different.
An extra
Yeah.
time. as
Yeah, I
opposed
think
to,
I do it
like,
out of
your main
convenience
time.
more
Oh
than
yeah, if it's
Yeah.
if it's
planning.
if that's where it fits in your schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for the purpose of the purpose is that people think that you should
You don't
practice
need to be
posing when you're
fatigued.
fatigued
Yeah.
because you will get fatigued on stage, and that is true, but then you need to practice what's called comparison drilling and your posing stamina. That's very two different things.
Yeah. So
It's-
maybe practicing your routine differently than comparisons,
Yeah.
but maybe after working out would be more of like an extra as opposed to like your mainstay.
Yeah.
Like your only time that you practice posing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't
Actually,
be.
so I lift 5 days a week. But in prep, I usually dedicate one of my rest days. I go drive somewhere and I do have a full posing session. That's separate from cardio, separate from training. Anthony and I like to go and we take pictures of each other doing posing.
Little content day.
Yeah.
And so we make a content day of kind of like us posing, but we make it a whole posing session and encourage each other posing. And so it's kind of like, we go and we spend time doing that on like Sunday or an afternoon that we're not working out. We have a lot of extra time and we're fresh and we feel good. And, we make sure we time our meals to look good and like a little pump up, just kind of like we're doing it on stage.
Yeah.
So we actually do dedicate, I think we try to do it on Sunday.
Yeah, that's kind of what I. Yeah.
Except for this has been recording the podcast has changed that.
Yeah.
We used to do it every Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But something like that, like picking a dedicated, like one of your rest days is like a posing day.
Yeah.
It's maybe a rest from training, but maybe making it more of
I think you should totally always pose on your rest days. Like,
Yeah.
if usually we have like 1 to 2 a week.
Yeah.
depending on the-
Extra
like,
steps,
extra
just getting
step. I
up.
think you should.
Yeah.
You have the mental energy to focus on it.
Absolutely.
I think you should 100% put your posing on rest days.
Yes.
And then obviously, if you need to pose after your workout, pose after your workout. But if you're finding yourself struggling with making progress in your posing, then look at where to change that in your schedule because
yeah,
that a lot of times is why.
because it needs to be a priority.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then, I mean, go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
yeah,
I don't know.
I was just saying, I think one thing that we've all discussed is that a lot of times competitors will come and be like, okay, I really need to get my routine. And they want to start go straight from learning their poses to their routine. But one of the most important things, a lot of even NPC and amateur shows, your routine is only done at finals after judging is completely done. They're not judging you anymore. It's more of just a presentation. And so it's like they spend way more time practicing their routine than their comparisons. Your comparisons and prejudging, it should just be called the judging.
Yeah.
During the judging of your physique is comparisons. And so comparison drilling is probably arguably the number one
It's the most important.
focus of your posing. And I think I changed that up a lot. Even as when I turned pro, I was like, oh, my routine. And because we had longer routines, I spent so much time on my I'm like, oh, I only have 10 minutes today to pose, and I just do my routine of 5 reps of my routine. But I've kind of now broken it down, and I've been like, okay, the full session, I'm just drilling my comparisons.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really, really important
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely.
So I think some common mistakes that I see on stage, or that I've done on stage, that I also see on stage, is fidgeting. And so this is why it's really important not to practice posing in front of a mirror, because when you're in front of the mirror looking at yourself, you fidget and you make these little corrections to try to get into the perfect spot. But if you can't see yourself, it forces you to really get into it and hold. And then if you record yourself on your phone, you can go study it and then go back and make those corrections.
Right.
But you limit the fidgeting. So honestly, it still is a little bit of a habit of mine. It's way better. But I would fidget into my front pose, and then I would fidget my posing side arm. So I'd kind of move it a lot, or I'd wiggle my hips back and forth between sideways, and just making these little micro adjustments. And so what we really want is to stand up there tall, proud, natural, effortless.
Right.
It should look like we're just super comfortable up
Yeah.
there.
Because if
Even-
everyone else is holding and you're the only one moving
Moving
back and
around,
forth,
it looks
everyone's looking at
awkward.
you like,
Yeah, you look unpolished. You
Yeah.
look like an
Yeah.
amateur.
Yeah.
You look like they look polished and just confident,
Right.
and they're just secure in their pose, and that's what we want to appear like. So any kind of movement like that, throws that whole presence off.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that is one that I used to be really bad at, that I've gotten better and better and better, but it still is just this like little habit that I'm continuously breaking. So that is actually something when I work on my posing now is I like I am honestly not really even focused on my transitions right now. It's just walking and landing that front pose. And because and just well, I guess transitions, but I'm not being technical and detailed with my transitions right now.
But it's a focus thing, like
yeah,
a little
my
at
focus
a time.
thing, right? Yes,
Yeah.
is I'm chipping away at the front and back pose, making sure I'm nailing those because that's what matters, and that's what we're judged on. And then I'll have a phase where I go back to cleaning up my transitions.
As soon as that becomes a habit, then it'll be easier to just add on. Talking about confidence, another one that I used to do and I worked on quite a bit over my last prep was just holding eye contact with the judges, not just staring at the head judge, but also making sure that I'm scanning the judges panel, like saying hello to everyone like we teach in performance posing, but just not looking down and dropping eye contact too much, because a lot of girls do that during their transition poses, especially like when you're doing your side glute, things like that, which you can do like occasionally, but a big one is when you're walking to land your front pose. A lot of people are very, very nervous that they hit the X right on the X, and no one takes away points or anything like that. If you're a little bit outside the box, a little bit in front of the X, a little bit behind the X, it's probably actually better to be, well, I've been told that it's better to be a little bit in front because of the lights. But just making sure that you're walking to about that area and then holding eye contact, because they're looking at you, and wherever you look, they look. So if you look down, they're looking down. Like, what is on the floor?
Right on the floor.
So that's a big confidence, and it really helps, you also connect and engage with the audience, and making sure that your energy stays up and riveting.
They want that people want to look at you.
Absolutely. And like with that energy too, like we always tell people, like when you come onto the stage, you smile really big to like show your confidence. And so like we recommend practicing with a smile too, because then you can like, it's natural for you to be smiling. Well, speaking of that, when I would practice, I would smile very well all the time. But then when I got on stage, it became like a frozen grin.
Too much smiling.
Yes, I was smiling the whole time, but it was a frozen grin. So practicing like some facial expression can be something that you add to like a personality. Like I actually had to plan, like, okay, when I go into my S model curve, like my S model pose, I had to like relax my smile and change things like that as I got more and more detailed and better at my posing. But I would say, like, as a beginner, practicing smiling when you say hello to the judges. We talk about saying hello and goodbye to the judges, basically, and having that be something that you're mindful of. And so being very confident in your entire presentation. And something that's natural is to smile and not smile. To change your face.
And making sure you do that when you practice too, because I know it might be 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning because you have to go to check in before you go to work or something like that. And you're probably not in the
I worked
mood.
I worked with a girl today actually who she came in and she's like, I just am not liking my walk. And so I was like, okay, let's look at it. So we look at her walk and I had her do it. I was like, show me what you've been working on. I had her do it. She's got the technique. It's nothing to do with her technique. And I said, smile for me. And she smiled and brightened up and it just, because she smiled and brightened up, it added like a strut to her walk, and that's what was missing. It wasn't her technique. I didn't need to fix anything with her arms, her feet, her weight distribution, nothing. She literally just needed to not have this like resting face and this super focused face on. And she just needed to brighten up and liven up her body language and
just
her facial
look like
expression.
You're having fun.
Yep. And it just added the personality piece to her walk. And she's like, oh, that felt so much better.
That's
and I was
awesome.
like, yep. So smiling, facial expressions are super important only on stage, but in your practice too, because when you're nervous on stage and you have that adrenaline going, you just want your body's going to kick into what it's used to practicing.
Yes.
And so
you'll revert.
Yep.
Yeah, and you don't want to see that stage video like
nope.
and
Stone cold.
Right? And we do this for fun. So like, yes, you may be nervous. Yes, there's a ton of adrenaline, but like, like being on stage is fun.
Yeah.
It's why it's part of the
Absolutely
reason
is.
we do all of this work for weeks and months on end is to be up there with the glam and the
Mhm.
lights and the tan and the judges and
Yep.
perform.
Mhm.
Because your end product isn't just having an incredible physique; it's performing on stage. That's part of
Absolutely.
competing. And so I think what we also want to do is be able to kind of demonstrate that to all of you guys.
Yes.
So in our next episode, I think we're going to break down a little bit more of like these do's and don'ts and mistakes that we've made
Yeah.
and kind of more of like what we and be more visual of what you should do.
Yeah.
So if you're normally a listener, next week part 2 is going to be one that we highly recommend watching the video on because
Yeah.
we're going to do a little bit more demonstration in the studio just to kind of show you some different posing breakdowns.
Get our heels on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have some heels on. We'll wear
have
our
the
shoe
heels
fairy
on.
heels.
We will not
and
be in socks.
Yeah. That's right.
we'll try to smile and bring all the energy.
I'll be the don't of what not to wear the socks. I'll be the don't.
Sure.
But so I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
posing in the studio with you guys,
Yeah, that'll
be fun.
and showing a little bit more detail on kind of what we're talking about and
Mhm.
putting kind of some of the actions to the words and
Yeah.
And tell us if there's anything in particular that you would like us to cover in that demonstration podcast. Comment below, send us a DM. We'll post like a Q&A or a box thing where maybe you can submit some submissions. But anything, if that has to do with the mandatories, transitions, walking.
Or something you heard that you want to know,
Yeah.
myth or truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Let us know. And then we will talk about it and we will demonstrate it and show you in the part 2.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
show y'all how we practice. So
Yeah.
and that is it. Episode 16.
Woohoo.
We're out. Bye.
Thanks, guys.